rebuilding a company's public image poses an even greater challenge. So, when computers at Royal Mail's worldwide distribution centre near Heathrow Airport went down on the 10th of January 2023, everyone in the company held their breath. A cyber incident was swiftly declared, and post offices around the UK were told not to process any international packages. As frustrated postal workers apologised to waiting customers, IT officers tried to get back into the system, to no avail. Eventually, panicked news arrived from a sorting office near Belfast in Northern Ireland. Their printers were out of control, ceaselessly spewing out notes with the message, "Lockbit Black ransomware. Your data are stolen and encrypted." If true, Royal Mail, like countless companies before them, would be in for a long, rough ride. The timing was terrible. Managers were already on the edge of despair. The company's revenues had collapsed when families, reeling from the cost of living crisis, cut back on sending letters and parcels in 2022. The workforce was tired and resentful after enduring successive waves of job cuts, aggressive restructuring, and falling real wages. Customer relations were strained by a service that was getting slower and patchier even as prices were rising. The trade union had called several strikes over the previous year, culminating in an unprecedented 7 days of walkouts during the peak Christmas season. Mountains of undelivered cards and parcels stacked in sorting offices around the country seemed emblematic of a company hell-bent on self-destruction. A ransomware attack that further disrupted services would be the final straw for many small businesses, who might take their custom elsewhere or go under themselves. Lockbit Black, the criminal enterprise behind the Royal Mail attack, is just one of many well-known ransomware gangs. Developed by malicious coders and placed by dedicated infection teams, ransomware rapidly spreads through the victims' computer networks. Data files are either made illegible by an encryption program or transmitted to remote storage controlled by the criminals, or both. If victims choose to pay the ransom, the criminals may or may not help them to decrypt their data. If victims refuse to cooperate, they not only have to laboriously restore the encrypted data from backups, if they exist, but they must also cope with the potential consequences of the stolen data being sold or published. In addition, the culprits could well have left themselves a back door into the system for a future attack. Paying a ransom cannot guarantee safety or fast recovery, however. One is essentially relying on an honour code of thieves, trusting that they will deliver on their promises. Royal Mail's management was advised that Lockbit was a formidable adversary. The gang had been prolific in its attacks. By 2023, victims could draw on the experiences of hundreds of unlucky predecessors. There was no point in hiring external IT specialists to decipher the affected files. The Lockbit encryption could not be cracked by outsiders, but the gang's decryption keys were deemed reasonably reliable. Lockbit had consistently published the hijacked data of victims who refused to pay and had deliberately fed the juiciest data to journalists. Lockbit operatives also applied pressure by contacting customers or suppliers listed on the stolen databases to tell them about the data leak. On the other hand, Lockbit had built a reputation among victims for keeping its word regarding not publishing or selling ransomed data. With most of Lockbit's operatives working from Russia, there was nothing that law enforcement could do to get the victim off the hook. Royal Mail faced a potent threat actor with a track record of delivering on their promises, both positive and negative. But was Royal Mail really held hostage by the dreaded Lockbit Black group, as the web address on the printouts from Northern Ireland suggested? Confusingly, the leader of the gang, who went by the alias Lockbit Sup, initially denied all knowledge of the attack. It took several days before Lockbit Sup tracked down the source of the infection and claimed responsibility. Then, a Royal Mail representative tentatively began an online chat on Lockbit's darknet website. An operative named Lockbit 3.0 quickly responded and cut to the chase, posting a list of all the files taken from the company's servers and their first threat. Yes, Don't delay.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.